Do you think the success of your book is all based on your talent or your skills or even your message? Think again. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the inner game, the growth mindset for authors that is essential for your book's success.
Are you an entrepreneur, small business owner, or consultant looking to boost your authority, influence, and impact? The Author Switch podcast with best-selling, award-winning author Carma Spence is your answer. Tune in for actionable advice, powerful strategies, and engaging interviews to turn on your author switch and take your business to the next dimension.
The Author Switch.
Hello, and welcome to the Author Switch podcast. I'm your host, Carma Spence, and I help executive coaches, business leaders, and consultants write, publish, and market client attracting books so that they can grow their businesses. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about mindset. Yes, mindset is actually really important in the success of your book. Mindset is what helps move you forward. It helps you get from one milestone to the next. And without the proper growth mindset, you may give up. Now, to help you understand what it's like to have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset when it comes to authors, I'm going to be using two hypothetical authors, Irene, who implements growth mindset strategies, and Doreen, who doesn't implement growth mindset strategies. So let's get started with the first mindset, and that is embrace imperfection over perfection. Perfectionism can stop you in your tracks. In fact, I did an interview with someone who wrote a whole book about perfectionism and how it can destroy your life. So, Irene, who has embraced imperfection, she was struggling with writing her book because she kept trying to get everything perfect. And then she learned about this strategy to embrace imperfection and just got the first draft done and saved the polishing and the perfecting to the editing phase. Because she did that, she finished her first draft quickly and without a lot of stress. Now, Doreen kept writing her first chapter over and over and over and over again. She didn't get her book done, at least not by the deadline that she initially promised herself for. And that really cut her confidence in herself. And so she is a sad author. Mindset number two, reframe challenges as opportunities to grow. Now, I've heard this story. It may be apocryphal, it may not be true, but I love it as an illustration of how reframing challenges as opportunities to grow can work. So the story goes, this guy goes into a pet store to buy his son a tadpole. He looks into the aquarium where the tadpoles are, and he notices that there's this big rock that basically bisects the aquarium, and all the tadpoles are on one side. And he's like, "What's that about?" So he goes to the pet store owner and he says, "Why would you put this rock that prevents the tadpoles from having the whole aquarium? What's that rock for?" And the pet store owner says, "Well, if the tadpoles aren't forced to get out of the water, they won't grow their legs and they'll stay tadpoles." When you reframe your challenges to be like this rock, the challenge is there to help you grow, to help you become a better version of yourself. It's not necessarily an obstacle that's there to prevent you from moving forward. That's a reframe. So, Irene, she saw her writer's block as a signal to rethink her approach. And so she figured out what was going on, fixed it, and moved on and completed her book. Doreen saw her writer's block as a sign that she wasn't good enough. And so she gave up, and her message never got out into the world. Mindset number three, set small, achievable goals to build momentum. I always like sharing that scene in Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And the Winter Warlock has just had his heart melted by Kris Kringle. And he sings this wonderful song. Put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking across the floor. Put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking out the door. That's how you need to frame your mindset here. One step in front of the other. And they don't need to be big steps, they can be baby steps. Imagine you've got a short person and a tall person. The tall person has longer legs than the short person. So, how would it serve the short person to try and take steps that match the tall person's steps? It's not going to work. They're going to have to run really fast. Well, you don't need to do that. Take the steps that you can take now. They're baby steps. They'll grow up into adult steps later. That's okay. Go at the pace that you can go right now. So Irene, she set a goal to only write, about 200 to 500 words a day. And often she found herself writing more than that. And because she built that momentum and that discipline and that habit, she got her book done. Doreen, on the other hand, set a really large goal and found herself not making it. And the more she didn't make her goal, the more she felt bad about herself. And eventually, she gave up on her book and didn't write it. Poor, sad Doreen. Now, tip number 4, practice self-compassion and forgive setbacks. So, this year, 2024, I announced to the world that I was going to write a book a month. January came and I wrote a book. February came and I wrote a book. March came and book number 3 was not working. So it came out in April. And at that point, I realized I took a look at the sales and I took a look at my stress level, and I realized that a book a month just wasn't for me in my current life situation. It might be sometime in the future, but right now, not a good plan. So I pivoted, and that's okay. It's my business. I can pivot. Well, this is your book. You can pivot too. Sometimes you have, okay, this is the way I like to phrase it. My eyes are bigger than my time. You know that old phrase, "My eyes is bigger than my stomach"? Well, my eyes are bigger than my time, and you just need to forgive yourself. You're gonna fall occasionally. Things are gonna happen that you're gonna go off track. It's okay. Practice self-compassion, forgive yourself, because stuff happens. It just does, and that's okay. It's all part of the journey. So, Irene got stopped on her journey because something happened, and she needed to deal with it, and it needed to put the book aside. So she went, "Okay, fine. That's all right. I'll just pick up where I left off and continue on." Doreen, on the other hand, she was fixed. She decided that these were the rules that she had set for herself. If she couldn't follow her own rules, it wasn't worth even doing the book anymore. And so she gave up. Poor sad Doreen. Now I'd like to take a quick break, and when I come back, I will have 4 more mindsets with Irene and Doreen.
In a world teeming with thoughts and opportunities, one writer embarks on the most daring adventure of all to turn a momentary idea into a book that will grow her business exponentially. With the right roadmap in hand, our heroine sets forth into the unknown, determined to navigate the labyrinth of her expertise, knowledge, and wisdom. Through treacherous terrain of tangents and the forest of ephemeral ideas, she plots a course true and clear. Each chapter a step closer to the treasure of a completed manuscript. Guided by the methodology within All You Need Is the Right Roadmap, our intrepid author learns to navigate these challenges, transforming them into stepping stones toward her goal. In the end, the map she's created is more than just an outline. It's a custom-tailored roadmap guiding her from the chaos of ideas to the clarity of a book that's ready to be written. Your journey begins with a single map. With All You Need Is the Right Roadmap, discover the art of the perfect outline. Go to Amazon.com and embark on your quest today.
Hello, and welcome back to the Author Switch podcast. I'm your host, Carma Spence, and I help executive coaches, business leaders, and consultants write, publish, and market their client-attracting books so that they can grow their business. In the first half of this episode, I shared 4 mindset hacks or actually 4 mindset frameworks, perspectives that can help you become more successful in writing your book. And I use 2 hypothetical authors as examples. Author number 1, Irene, implements everything that I'm sharing, and Doreen doesn't. So let's move on to mindset number 5. That is celebrate small wins along the way. Now, I did an entire episode of the Author Switch sharing different ways that you can celebrate milestones along the journey. The important thing here is it doesn't have to be a big celebration. You don't have to throw a party just because you met a milestone, but you should do something to go, yay, I did that. And they can be small things. Like, for example, when I talked about in the first half about setting a milestone of 200 words a day. Well, every time you do that, celebrate it. I did my 200 words a day. Yay! Maybe you get up and you do a little happy dance. Do, do, do. Or maybe you have a extra cup of coffee or whatever it is that you like that will help you celebrate that moment. And the more you celebrate, the more you get pulled forward. In fact, I have an entire training program that I call Celebrate You. Right now, I probably will be changing that name, but right now it's called Celebrate You, where it's a 3-month program where you start off with forgiveness because you need to forgive yourself for the things that you've done that you think is wrong. Then the second month is gratitude. Gratitude helps you build up to the third month, which is celebration, which is like gratitude on steroids. It's about patting yourself on the back when you do something right and ignoring when you do something wrong. Now, that doesn't mean ignore it completely and keep doing whatever is wrong. It means being kind to yourself so that the things that you do wrong are learning opportunities and the things you do right are things to celebrate. That pulls you forward. Well, Irene celebrates every milestone she makes, whether it's finishing chapter or receiving positive feedback, whatever it is, she celebrates. Sometimes she celebrates by doing confetti on a camera, or maybe she puts on a little party hat, or maybe she takes herself out for a little break, maybe a walk around the block. But she celebrates all her milestones so that she keeps being motivated to move forward. Doreen kept her eyes solely on the final publication. She wasn't going to celebrate it until it was all done. And the problem with that is that she got bogged down in the details. And eventually, she just felt overwhelmed and she gave up. Poor sad Doreen. Tip number 6, that is adopt a yet mindset. You know, you don't know something until you know it. Therefore, if you don't know something now, you just don't know it yet. So when you add that little yet to whatever, I don't know that yet, it means that you are pulling yourself forward into a future when you do know it. Well, the first time you write a book, you don't know what you're doing yet. You don't know what you're doing yet. I've written lots of books, and with each book, I am better at it. I learn something new and I do something better because I learned something that I didn't know back then yet, but I know it now. The same is with you. Irene started adding yet after everything that she didn't know, and she found herself soon making those yets nows. And therefore, she kept growing and learning and moving forward. Doreen just thought she was bad at stuff, and so she gave up and stopped. Poor sad Doreen. Tip number 7, visualize for success, but plan for the challenges. Into every author's life, some challenges must fall. Nothing goes according to plan all the time. It just doesn't. So, what you need to do is visualize the perfect journey. Visualize it, plan for it, but then have contingency plans in case something comes up so that you can be compassionate and forgive yourself or figure out how to handle it and move on. Irene visualized her book launch. She saw all the accolades and the wonderful things and the people there. She lived it, and that pulled her forward. But she also had plans. What if the caterer doesn't arrive on time? What if the pens don't work? All those little details that she wanted to go perfect, she had backup plans for all of them. So when the caterer came a little late or with the wrong food, she knew exactly what to do. And she was much less flustered when her launch happened. She had a successful time. Doreen, on the other hand, just fantasized about her bestseller book launch, didn't put any plans into place, first plans or backup plans. She just liked to fantasize and visualize. The problem is the way the law of attraction works is with action. Attraction, attraction, action. Yes, it's sort of like one of my favorite quotes that I got from Sinbad movies, and that's trust in God, but tie up your camel. Yes, God will help you, but he helps those who help themselves. So you need to kind of like meet him halfway, make a plan, work the plan. Don't just dream. Poor, sad Doreen. Tip number 8, adopt a learning mindset over a fixed mindset. You see, always be learning. ABL. Always be learning. There's always going to be something new that you don't know. In fact, Ashley Brilliant put out these postcards called Pot Shots. And on one of them, it's one of my favorite quotes is, there's been an alarming increase in the things I know nothing about. Because that's sometimes how it feels. It's like you think you got it, and then you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, if you have an attitude of always be learning, that's okay. You didn't know it, you can learn it, and you know it now. Irene treated the entire book writing journey as a learning experience. Even when she struggled, she used those struggles to learn something new, to overcome her challenges. And because she was constantly improving her skills, she was able to finish her book with a lot less stress and found the whole process more rewarding. Poor said Doreen, she didn't think about it that way. She thought she should already be good at everything along the author's journey. And so when she came across something she wasn't so good at, she felt like, oh my gosh, I'm not good at this. And so things didn't go so smoothly for her. She assumed she wasn't cut out for writing a book and she gave up. Poor, sad Doreen. Well, those are the 8 tips for mindset. I hope you will embrace your inner Irene and lovingly set your inner Doreen aside. She needs some love. Help Doreen become Irene and implement these mindset tips so that you can be a more successful author. This is your host, Carma Spence, saying ciao for now. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Author Switch podcast. If you enjoyed today's show and want to support its mission, here's how to help. First, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps my channel grow and reach more aspiring and established authors. Your ratings and reviews are invaluable. They help me reach more listeners and continue delivering top-notch content. To catch up on past episodes, including those no longer available on podcast platforms, visit authorswitch.com/episodes. There, you can choose to watch or listen to your favorite episodes at your convenience. If you'd like to show additional support, consider dropping a tip in the tip jar at buymeacoffee.com/Carma Spence. Your contributions help keep the podcast running and are greatly appreciated. Thank you for being a part of the Author Switch community. Until next time, keep writing.